The massive crystal hall of the Galactic Council sparkled under the light of 3 artificial suns. 2,000 representatives from the most advanced civilizations in the known universe sat in rising tiers of seats, their eyes fixed on the single human standing at the center of the floor. Admiral James Walker kept his back straight and his face calm, even as whispers and barely hidden laughs echoed around him. High Speaker Reed, tall and elegant with his silvery skin gleaming, raised a hand for silence. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes as he looked down at the human admiral. "So," Reed said, his voice carrying easily through the hall, "Earth has finally achieved faster-than-light travel." "How quaint." The word dripped with fake politeness. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Walker saw some representatives not even trying to hide their amusement, pointing at his simple blue uniform and the old-fashioned metal rank pins on his collar. Compared to their shimmering quantum fabric clothes and neural interface crowns, he must have looked like a caveman to them. "We have indeed," Walker replied, keeping his voice steady. "And we formally request membership in the Galactic Council." The laughter grew louder. A representative from the silicon-based civilization of the Diamond Worlds actually fell out of their seat, their crystalline body chiming as they shook with mirth. High Speaker Reed's smile widened. "Tell us, Admiral Walker, how does your FTL drive work?" "Still using simple folded space technology, I assume." Walker nodded. "We use a controlled quantum field to create a localized—" Yes, Reed interrupted, waving his hand dismissively. "Three-dimensional thinking, as expected. Tell me, Admiral, has humanity even grasped the concept of fifth-dimensional engineering yet?" "We have our own approaches to dimensional science," Walker said carefully. This time, the entire hall erupted in thunderous laughter. Even the usually stoic energy beings from the plasma clouds were flickering with amusement, their containment fields pulsing with different colors. "Your own approaches," Reed repeated, wiping an amused tear from his eye. "Like what?" "Let me guess. You're still trying to understand dimensions by drawing cubes inside cubes." He turned to the assembly. "Next thing you know, they'll tell us they've mastered space travel by folding paper." The chamber roared with laughter again. Walker noticed only one being who wasn't laughing, an ancient entity known as the Observer, who sat in the highest tier, its dark eyes fixed thoughtfully on him. "The Council acknowledges Earth's achievement of reaching the stars," Reed continued, his voice dripping with condescension. "However, membership requires a certain level of sophistication. Come back in a few hundred years, when you've learned to think beyond your limited three-dimensional understanding of space." Walker bowed slightly, his face never showing the anger he felt inside. "Thank you for your time, High Speaker. Earth looks forward to future interactions with the Council." As he turned to leave, Reed called out, "Oh, and Admiral, try not to bump into any four-dimensional objects on your way out. You might hurt yourself trying to comprehend them." The hall filled with laughter one final time. Walker walked out with measured steps, neither too fast nor too slow. He had expected this response. It was exactly what they had planned for. What none of them knew was that at that exact moment, deep beneath Earth's oceans, Dr. Anna Thompson was completing the final calibrations on humanity's real breakthrough. The Council thought humans were still playing with paper airplanes while they flew starships. They had no idea that humanity had learned to fold reality itself. As Walker's shuttle left the Council station, he allowed himself a small smile. Let them laugh. In a few months, when the Void Realm attacked, they would learn the true meaning of dimensional engineering. And then they would understand why humans had spent so much time studying the connection between consciousness and reality instead of building bigger engines. The real question wasn't whether humanity could think in higher dimensions. The question was whether the Council would be ready to face what humanity had discovered there. 20,000 feet beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility carved into the rock of the Mariana Trench, Dr. Anna Thompson stared through thick glass at what might be humanity's greatest achievement. The chamber beyond held the heart, a perfect sphere of swirling energy that seemed to exist in more places than the eye could see. "Status report," she said, her voice carrying to the dozen scientists working at their stations around the observation deck. "Mental synchronization at 98%, Dr. Robert Hayes replied, his fingers dancing over his control panel. "The test subjects are holding steady." Through another window, Thompson could see the meditation chamber where 20 volunteers sat in a circle, their minds linked through delicate neural interfaces. Unlike the crude devices used by the council races, these interfaces weren't meant to simply connect thoughts. They were designed to connect consciousness itself. "They laughed at us," Thompson said softly, remembering the reports from the council meeting. "They thought we were wasting our time studying the human mind, while they built bigger engines and stronger hulls." The heart pulsed, its surface rippling like water. But Thompson knew she wasn't seeing its surface at all. What they were watching was merely the three-dimensional shadow of an object that existed in 7 dimensions at once. "Power levels rising," called out Dr. Lisa Green from her station. "The heart is responding to the group's theta waves." Thompson walked to the main console, her steps quick but careful. Years of working in the underwater base had taught everyone to move with purpose. One wrong step, one moment of carelessness, and the massive pressure outside could find a way in. "Begin the test sequence," she ordered. "Let's show our friends upstairs what consciousness can really do." The heart's glow intensified. In the meditation chamber, the volunteers' breathing synchronized perfectly, their chests rising and falling as one. They had trained for months for this moment, learning to think in ways that no human mind was meant to think. On the main screen, numbers and graphs danced. To most people, they would have looked like random data, but Thompson saw the pattern. Reality itself was beginning to bend around the heart. "Dr. Thompson," Hayes called out suddenly, "we're getting reading in the 6th dimension." A smile crossed Thompson's face. The council races had barely mastered the 5th dimension, and here they were, pushing into the 6th. But they weren't stopping there. "Keep going," she said. "Push it to 7. Warning lights flashed, but Thompson had expected this. The human mind wasn't meant to perceive 7 dimensions, but 20 minds working together, supporting each other, could grasp what one mind could not. The heart suddenly expanded, its energy filling the chamber with impossible colors. For a brief moment, Thompson could have sworn she saw herself standing at 1,000 different consoles, making 1,000 different decisions, all existing at once. "We've done it," Green whispered. 7 dimensions. We're actually doing it." Thompson checked the readings again. Everything was stable. The volunteers were tired but healthy, their minds stretched but not strained. They had built this project on one simple truth that the council races had never understood. Consciousness itself was the key to higher dimensions. "Send word to Admiral Walker," Thompson ordered. "Project Ascendant is ready for Phase 2. As her team began shutting down the test sequence, Thompson thought about the massive ship being built in secret hangars near the core of Mars. The U.S. Hyperion was nearly complete, its systems designed around the principles they had discovered here in the depths. The Council thought humanity was playing catch-up, trying to match their technological achievements. They didn't understand that humans had taken a completely different path. While they built machines to force their way through dimensions, humanity had learned to think its way through them. "Soon," Thompson said to herself, watching the heart return to its normal state. "Soon they'll understand that the greatest technology isn't about forcing nature to obey. It's about learning to work with it." In the meditation chamber, the volunteers slowly opened their eyes, their faces tired but proud. They had touched the 7th dimension today, and soon they would show the galaxy what that really meant. The council chamber wasn't filled with laughter anymore. High Speaker Reed stood at his podium, his silvery skin now pale with fear as he watched the holographic display, showing the destruction of yet another council world. The attacking ships were unlike anything they had ever seen. Dark vessels that seemed to flicker in and out of reality. Traditional weapons passed right through them, as if shooting at shadows. But their weapons were all too real, tearing through the council's strongest shields as if they weren't there. 4 more worlds lost in the past day. A general from the Diamond Worlds reported, his crystalline form dulled with exhaustion. The Void Realm fleet simply appears, destroys everything in their path, and vanishes. Our fifth-dimensional sensors can barely track them. Reed watched as another capital ship, pride of the Council fleet, was torn apart by weapons that seemed to strike from 5 different dimensions at once. The crew didn't even have time to scream. How? He demanded, slamming his fist on the podium. How are they doing this? We are the most advanced civilizations in known space. The observer, still sitting in the highest tier, finally spoke. Its ancient voice echoed through the chamber. They have mastered fifth-dimensional warfare. Our 3- and 4-dimensional defenses are useless against them. A murmur of fear swept through the chamber. The Council races had only recently begun to understand fifth-dimensional technology. They could detect it, even traverse it for short distances, but to weaponize it to this extent. 6th Fleet reports contact. Someone shouted. On the main display, a new battle appeared. 100 Council ships, the best they had, faced off against just 3 Void Realm vessels. The Council ships launched everything they had: plasma torpedoes, quantum disruptors, even experimental weapons that could tear holes in space itself. The Void Realm ships simply shifted slightly, letting the attacks pass through dimensions where they didn't exist. Then they returned fire. The entire 6th Fleet vanished in seconds, their atoms scattered across 5 dimensions. The display went dark, and silence fell over the chamber. We've lost contact with the plasma cloud systems, another voice reported shakily. The energy beings, they're just gone. Reed felt his legs grow weak. The plasma clouds were among their oldest members, beings of pure energy who had mastered space travel when most races were still learning to make fire. If they could fall. The Void Realm ships are changing course, the Diamond World General reported. They're heading toward the less developed sectors. Reed's blood ran cold. Earth, he whispered. They're going to attack Earth. The chamber erupted in worried conversations. Earth was primitive, barely able to achieve faster-than-light travel. Against ships that could dance between dimensions, it would be a massacre. We should evacuate them, someone suggested. It's the least we can do. There's no time, the observer said. The Void Realm fleet will reach Earth in less than 2 days, even if we sent every remaining ship we have. The words hung in the air. They all knew their ships would make no difference. They couldn't even slow the Void Realm down. Reed closed his eyes, remembering how he had mocked the human admiral just weeks ago. He had laughed at their primitive understanding of dimensions. Now, faced with an enemy that truly mastered dimensional warfare, the Council's supposed superiority meant nothing. Send word to Earth, he ordered. Tell them we're sorry. Tell them to run. But as his aide moved to send the message, a new signal came in. The human admiral, James Walker, was requesting an emergency audience with the Council. Reed almost laughed at the irony. What could Earth possibly offer now? But as he looked at the devastation displayed all around him, he realized they had no choice. They would listen to anyone, try anything. Bring him in, Reed ordered. At this point, we have nothing left to lose. Admiral Walker entered the Council chamber with the same measured steps as before. But this time, no one laughed. The representatives watched him in desperate silence, their earlier mockery forgotten in the face of destruction. Earth offers its assistance to the Galactic Council, Walker said, his voice clear and strong in the quiet chamber. High Speaker Reed leaned forward on his podium. His silver skin had lost its shine, marked with stress lines that hadn't been there weeks ago. With all due respect, Admiral, what could Earth possibly offer? The Void Realm ships operate in the 5th dimension. Your weapons would be useless. Walker nodded. You're right. 3-dimensional weapons would be useless. Even your 5-dimensional technology can't stop them. He paused, looking around the chamber. That's why we built something better. The main display lit up, showing an image that made the entire council gasp. A ship hung in space near Mars, unlike anything they had ever seen. Its hull seemed to bend in impossible ways, parts of it existing in places that shouldn't be possible. The U.S. Hyperion, Walker announced. Humanity's first seventh-dimensional vessel. Silence fell over the chamber. Then chaos erupted. "Impossible," shouted the Diamond World General. "You can barely handle faster than light travel." "Lies," called another representative. "No race has mastered beyond the fifth dimension." The observer leaned forward in its seat, its ancient eyes fixed on the image. "Let him speak," it commanded, and the chamber fell quiet again. Walker touched a control on his wrist. The image zoomed in on the Hyperion's hull. "Notice how parts of the ship seem to fade in and out. That's because most of its structure exists in dimensions you can't perceive. Your fifth-dimensional sensors can only catch glimpses of its true form." Reed gripped his podium. "You expect us to believe that Earth, which just achieved basic space travel, has mastered 7 dimensions. We never said we had just achieved space travel," Walker corrected. "We said we had achieved faster than light travel in our own way. While you were laughing at our primitive methods, we were exploring dimensions you haven't even dreamed of." Dr. Thompson stepped out from behind Walker. She hadn't been there a moment ago. She had simply shifted through dimensions to appear in the chamber. Several representatives jumped in shock. "The Hyperion doesn't force its way through dimensions like your ships do," Thompson explained. "It flows through them, guided by the combined consciousness of its crew. We didn't try to master dimensions through brute force. We learned to become one with them." That's not possible," Reed whispered, but his voice lacked conviction. "The Void Realm thinks their fifth-dimensional technology makes them invincible," Walker said. "Wait until they meet a ship that can attack from 2 dimensions higher than they can perceive." The observer stood, drawing everyone's attention. "You knew this crisis was coming," it said. "It wasn't a question." Walker nodded. "We detected the Void Realm's approach 6 months ago. We could have warned you, but we wouldn't have believed you," Reed finished, slumping in his chair. "We would have laughed, just like we did before." "The Hyperion is ready," Thompson said. "Its crew is trained. We can stop the Void Realm fleet." She paused, looking around the chamber. "But first, we need the Council to understand something. Earth isn't asking to join the Galactic Council anymore. We're offering to save it." The chamber remained silent as her words sank in. The mighty Council races, who had looked down on Earth for so long, now found themselves hoping that humanity's primitive approach might be their only hope for survival. "The Void Realm fleet will reach Earth in 48 hours, Walker said calmly. "The only question is, are you ready to see what humanity can really do?" The Council fleet gathered near Jupiter to witness humanity's demonstration. Hundreds of ships hung in space, their crews watching with a mixture of doubt and desperate hope. At the center of their formation, the U.S. Hyperion waited. The ship looked different to every observer. To some, it appeared to be constantly folding in on itself. To others, it seemed to exist in multiple places at once. The energy beings of the plasma clouds claimed they could see it branching through time itself. On the Hyperion's bridge, Captain Michael Stone sat in a meditation chair rather than a traditional command seat. Around him, 20 crew members sat in a circle, their minds linked through Thompson's neural interface system. "Beginning demonstration," Stone announced, his voice calm despite the enormous pressure. Every major council race was watching. They had to prove that humanity's solution would work. Dr. Thompson stood at her station, monitoring the crew's mental sync levels. "Remember your training," she said to the bridge crew. "Don't try to understand all 7 dimensions at once. Let your combined consciousness flow through them naturally." In the observation room of his flagship, High Speaker Reed watched with the observer at his side. "I still don't understand," Reed admitted. "How did they achieve this while we couldn't?" The observer's ancient eyes never left the Hyperion. "Because they didn't try to bend reality to their will," it said. "They learned to bend with it." On the Hyperion's bridge, Stone closed his eyes. The neural interface hummed as 20 minds became one. Phase 1, he ordered. The ship didn't move. At least, not in any way three-dimensional beings could understand. Instead, reality seemed to ripple around it. Suddenly, the Hyperion was behind the Council fleet, then above it, then in 12 places at once. "Impossible," whispered the Diamond World General. Thompson's voice came over the Council channels. "Your ships force their way through dimensions, like trying to break through walls. We learn to think in higher dimensions, like walking through open doors. The human mind, properly trained and properly linked, can perceive pathways you never knew existed." To demonstrate, the Hyperion released a small probe. Council sensors showed it existing in 7 dimensions simultaneously, its very presence bending the fabric of space-time. "Watch carefully," Thompson said. The probe split into 7 versions of itself, each one existing primarily in a different dimension. They moved in perfect harmony, dancing through space in ways that made several Council scientists have to look away to avoid headaches. "This is why we focused on consciousness," Thompson explained. "Machines alone can't navigate 7 dimensions. They need consciousness to guide them. Your civilizations built bigger engines. We built better pilots." In the Council flagship, Reed watched as his best sensors tried and failed to track the Hyperion's movements. The ship wasn't just moving through space, it was moving through dimensions themselves. "The Void Realm thinks 5th-dimensional technology makes them unstoppable," Stone's voice came through, echoing slightly as it crossed dimensional barriers. "But from the 7th dimension, we can see them as clearly as you see your own hands. Their dimensional shifting is like watching someone try to hide by ducking behind a transparent wall." To prove his point, the Hyperion suddenly shifted, its form becoming crystal clear for a moment. Energy coursed through its hull in impossible patterns, flowing through dimensional pathways that most races couldn't even perceive. "This is how we'll beat them," Thompson said. "Not with bigger weapons, but with deeper understanding. The Void Realm mastered 5 dimensions through technology. We mastered 7 through consciousness." As the demonstration ended, the Hyperion returned to its starting position. But now everyone watching knew they weren't looking at just a ship. They were looking at the next evolution of space travel. The marriage of mind and machine, consciousness and technology. The observer turned to Reed. "Still think they're primitive?" Reed could only shake his head, watching as the Hyperion's crew prepared for the real test, the coming battle with the Void Realm. In just 24 hours, they would all learn whether humanity's unique approach to dimensional travel would save them, or if the galaxy would fall to the dimensional invaders. The Void Realm fleet appeared exactly where humanity predicted, just beyond Earth's moon. 300 black ships emerged from 5th-dimensional space, their hulls crackling with energy that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. But Earth wasn't defenseless like they expected. The U.S. Hyperion waited, floating serenely between Earth and the invasion fleet. Behind it, the remaining Council ships held position, their crews watching anxiously. Inside the Void Realm command ship, Lord Commander Vex observed the lone vessel with amusement. His species had conquered 1,000 worlds using 5th-dimensional technology. No one could touch them, no one could fight them, and no one could escape them. "A single ship," he laughed, his voice echoing through his command center. "This is Earth's great defense." On the Hyperion's bridge, Captain Stone sat with his eyes closed, connected to his crew through the neural interface. They could feel the Void Realm ships, see them from angles that shouldn't be possible. Through their combined consciousness, the 7 dimensions lay open before them like an open book. "They're powering up their main weapons," Thompson reported, watching her displays. 5th-dimensional energy signatures are off the charts. "Let them fire first," Stone said calmly. "Let them learn." The Void Realm ships launched their attack. Beams of energy that phased between dimensions shot toward the Hyperion, weapons that had destroyed the most powerful Council ships with ease. But the Hyperion didn't try to dodge. Instead, Stone and his crew reached out with their combined consciousness, seeing the true nature of the attack through seven-dimensional space. "Now," Stone ordered. The Hyperion pulsed. Reality twisted. The attacking beams suddenly found themselves firing through empty dimensional space, their energy dispersing harmlessly through planes of existence the Void Realm couldn't even perceive. In his command ship, Vex stood up in shock. "Impossible. How did they?" "This is humanity's response to your invasion." Stone's voice came through all channels, echoing through dimensions. "You thought fifth-dimensional technology made you gods. Let us show you what true dimensional mastery looks like." The Hyperion moved. Not through normal space, but through the higher dimensions themselves. It flickered between realities faster than thought, appearing in 7 places at once, then 70, then 700. "What is this?" Vex demanded as his sensors overloaded. "No species can control this many dimensions." Stone's voice came again. "We don't control dimensions. We understand them." The Hyperion's crew acted as one mind, their consciousness spreading through dimensional space. They could see the Void Realm ship's fifth-dimensional technology as clearly as children's toys. And like toys, they could be broken. Thompson activated the ship's main weapon, not a conventional energy beam, but a pulse of pure dimensional energy guided by human consciousness. It rippled through all 7 dimensions at once. The effect was devastating. The Void Realm ship's fifth-dimensional fields collapsed, their technology failing as higher dimensional forces overwhelmed them. Ships began appearing in normal space, solid and vulnerable for the first time. "Impossible." Vex screamed as his mighty fleet was reduced to normal matter. "We are invincible. We err." The Hyperion appeared directly in front of his command ship, existing in all 7 dimensions simultaneously. Through the view screen, Vex saw Stone open his eyes. "No," Stone said simply. "You're just another species that thought technology alone was enough. You never understood the true key to dimensional mastery." The remaining council ships opened fire. This time, their weapons found solid targets. The once invincible Void Realm fleet, stripped of its dimensional superiority, stood no chance against conventional weapons. As Vex watched his fleet being destroyed, he finally understood. These humans hadn't just built better technology. They had found a completely different path to power. And in his arrogance, he had never even considered that such a path might exist. The battle for Earth ended not with a grand explosion or a desperate last stand, but with the simple revelation that humanity had surpassed their enemies in ways the Void Realm had never imagined possible. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. The rising tiers of seats remained the same, but now human representatives sat among the alien races, and at the center podium, where High Speaker Reed once stood, Dr. Anna Thompson prepared to address the galaxy. The chamber was packed. Even species that rarely attended council meetings had come to hear humanity speak. The Observer sat in its usual place, but now it shared its tier with Captain Stone and his crew. "A month ago, many of you laughed at humanity," Thompson began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "Today, I'm not here to make you regret that laughter. I'm here to thank you for it." Confused murmurs filled the room. High Speaker Reed, now sitting among the regular representatives, leaned forward with interest. "Your mockery pushed us to keep our true research secret," Thompson continued. "It gave us time to perfect our understanding of dimensional travel without interference or prejudice. And most importantly, it taught us a valuable lesson about pride and progress." She gestured, and a hologram appeared above the chamber. It showed the Hyperion, but now everyone could see it clearly, their minds having been trained over the past month to perceive higher dimensions. The Void Realm thought that controlling the 5th dimension made them invincible. The council races thought that technological advancement was the only path to progress. Humanity wondered if there might be another way entirely. The hologram changed, showing the neural interface system that had made their victory possible. "We didn't try to conquer dimensions. We learned to understand them. We didn't force reality to obey us. We learned to work with it. And most importantly, we discovered that the greatest technology is worthless without consciousness to guide it. Admiral Walker stepped forward, joining her at the podium. Today, we're announcing the creation of a new council department, the Institute of Dimensional Understanding. But we're not going to run it alone. Thompson nodded. Every species perceives reality differently. The silicon-based life forms see patterns we miss. The energy beings understand flows we can't perceive. Even the Void Realm survivors have unique insights into dimensional technology. The Institute will combine all these viewpoints, Walker explained, because the greatest lesson humanity learned wasn't about dimensional travel at all. It was about the power of different perspectives. In the highest tier, the observer spoke. You could keep this knowledge to yourselves. Rule the galaxy as the Void Realm attempted to do. Why share it? Thompson smiled. Because that's the final lesson we learned. Power isn't about control. It's about understanding. And understanding grows best when it's shared. She touched a control, and the hologram changed again, showing training centers being built across council space. Every species will have the chance to learn our techniques. Every civilization will add their own insights. Together, we'll explore dimensions we haven't even discovered yet. But Walker added with a slight smile, this time, let's do it without laughing at ideas just because they're different. The chamber filled with appreciative chuckles. Even Reed laughed, shaking his head at how much had changed. The age of purely technological advancement is over, Thompson declared. The age of consciousness has begun. And this time, we're all going to advance together. As she finished speaking, the chamber erupted in applause. Species that had never worked together were already forming research groups. Races that had mocked each other for centuries were sharing ideas. In his seat, Reed turned to a human scientist next to him. I still don't fully understand how you did it, he admitted. How did you know consciousness was the key? The scientist smiled. We didn't. We just asked questions nobody else was asking. Sometimes the best way forward isn't to build a bigger engine. It's to wonder why we need the engine in the first place. Above them all, the observer watched with satisfaction as the galaxy entered a new era. Humanity hadn't just saved them from the Void Realm. They had shown them a completely new way to look at the universe itself. The chamber buzzed with excitement as beings of all species discussed the future. The galaxy was changing, evolving, growing. And this time, they were doing it together, one consciousness at a time.